can't say enough positive things about what he's done and all that, but without further ado, Randy.
Thank you. Is this on? Can you hear me?
Yes.
You know, I'm not an expert here because I'm in my hometown. An expert is when you're out of town with a briefcase. So I'm really kind of nervous about being around the hometown. Just kind of give you a sense. This story started in Barrington. My son went all the way through the school system, age 3. We did those 36 IEPs, those individualized education programs that you go into and talk to the teachers about your child. You laugh and you cry and you come out. You're going to do it again next semester. The outlook for my son was not good. Now, my son's very talented. Of course, I'm the dad. As all our kids are talented. My son even drives. My son drives. If you would have told us when age 3 and he wasn't talking, and at age 9 when he wasn't talking, at age 10, if you told me that at age 18 he'd have a driver's license, I would have pushed all in. So he drives. But the likelihood of him ever getting a job was still only about 5%. I remember the school, I don't know if you've had any of the schools, the transition program have kids come in, usually on a volunteer basis. And we got one of those IEPs one time. I remember they said, you know, it was at a pizza place or something like that. And they said, Austin's doing great and they love him and he really likes making the dough or one of the things. And I thought that's great. The summer came along and I called them up and I told them I was Austin's father. And I thanked them very much for giving Austin a chance, even to volunteer, you know, how the school system does. And I said, you know, summer, and Austin did a good job. And they said, oh yeah. So I tell you what, how about giving him a part-time job in the summer? And they said, well, you know, I don't know if that would be good. And I said, no, Austin will work the hours nobody else will. You know, when you're having a hard time on weekends or Sundays in the late hours, and people like, Austin will be glad to do that. And he said, no, I'm not sure. I don't think that's a good idea. And I said, I tell you what, I'll throw in a job coach for free to be with him there. Make sure he does everything. No, I don't think so. That's the story. That's the story that we're facing. And it was that kind of story that got me thinking on my side, saying, gee whiz, if this is what we're up against, what's Walgreens going to do about it? And specifically what I'm going to do about it. Now, my professional life was there, so it's you do what you can. So we said we were going to hire all these people. And we tried it here and there, and guess what? We found out they could do the work. So when I proposed it to the board, we were going to, like Dave said, we were going to do 1 out of 3 people in a building of 600. The board only asked one question. They said, what if it doesn't work? Well, we'll adjust, which is like everything else. So that was one big principle. Hey, if it doesn't work, we'll adjust. So we did try to hire 1/3 in that first building, and it didn't end up to be 1/3. It ended up to be over 40%. And we found out the performance was the same. Same job, same expectations, same. Better safety, because a lot of people go, ooh, you know, we have a really dangerous place here. Safety was better. Retention was better, absenteeism, and on and on. And that number, the original 200 target, became 1,000 people with disabilities across the chain. And then we gave it all away. And so, in my retirement, I get to go all over places and talk to businesses and help them do the same thing. And it's really built along the model that we did. Because what we started out, we said, we don't know anything about disabilities, we just want to do it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have these jobs here and make them available. We're going to, let's say 200. And we're not going to assume that they're going to be those special jobs. For instance, if I ask you, think of a person in your head with a disability and think of an appropriate job for that person with a disability, right? You got one real quick? How many people, as a person with a disability, is not thinking of a person in a wheelchair with Downs or with autism? Because that's what we immediately assume. we found out there are lots of kinds of disabilities out there. And then when that job that you're thinking about, does it include the word repetitive? Because that's what generally we do. So that's also, we found out that was one of those paradigms we had that was wrong. So we told the community, here are the jobs, you come in and understand my jobs. Don't come in and say you want me to hire Austin, because I don't know anything about Austin. I really don't care about Austin, I care about the jobs getting done. Community, you come in, understand my jobs. So let's say if I were talking to BYFS, if I were making this to Rita, I say, Rita, come understand my job. And Rita, you and Scott go out and find in the community people with disabilities that you think will be successful. And I'll let you intern, I'll hire them, but you need to bring a job coach in to make them successful. Because I don't know how to train people with disabilities. I've never been around people. And that's what essentially our model. You know, they don't have to be able to interview well. They don't have to do all the things that they'd never get through the application. For example, you know, do all of us have interviews when you hire somebody? The common question was, why would you like to work here? Okay, now if you ask my son that, okay, I love my son. But if you ask my son that, he would go, how would I know? I've never worked here. Off the list. They'd never be able to get through that. But oh, by the way, here's the thing. My son could never get a job here all that time. One of the companies that copied us is Meyer. So 2 years ago, the president called me. He said, we're going to open a distribution center up here on the border of Wisconsin. I don't know how far that is from your house or whatever. But we'd like Austin to be one of our first employees. So my son, Austin, now works full-time up there in Wisconsin, drives an hour each way. He drives a Lyft, picks orders, makes $13.50 an hour with a 401k, and works full-time. Matter of fact, he's the only one that's employed in the house. Would have never dreamed this could happen. So one of the things that happened is as I go around, I find this program in Sarnia. It's been going on 20 years. And it's very similar. When I talk to them, it's very similar to their experience as what ours was. What they do is they go out to the business community and say, what are the jobs that you would offer up to say a college student? And what we're going to do is we're going to take that college student, we're going to get some college students here, and we're going to train them. We're going to train them for 4 weeks. We're going to train them how to be a job coach. We're going to train them about jobs, if it's about safety, quality, production. We're going to train them what a good employee is, somebody pulls their weight, helps out when they need to, makes the place better, and not be a troublemaker. That's what kind of like, we're going to teach them about those kinds of things too, and we're going to do it for 4 weeks. That's what they do. And then they match up to the job. They go out to the jobs and they find out what's about the job, and they find the kid that they think will be successful in that job, and we pair them up with that college student, and they become a team. And there's 2 purposes to that. Is to get the job done and to pass those skills on to the student with the disability. So phase out. But number one thing is get the job done. What was interesting about this, the outcome after 5 years, 80% of those kids were employed or in traditional higher education. Let me tell you Barrington's story, because I went to the school district and talked to the teachers. This is what happens every year in Barrington, right down the street. We have 100 kids, we have 700 kids that go through the senior class. 100 of them have IEPs, these individualized education programs. About 50 of those go to college. That's the winning side. However, I will tell you, even those 50, even though they get through college, if they look, act, or seem different, or learn different in any way, they're going to have some difficulty getting a job. They're just not going to get up there high enough. That's 50, and that's the best outcome. That leaves 50 more. 40 of them drop through the crack right there. don't do anything else. We don't know where they go. We don't know what they're doing. But they at best have a high school degree and no other supports. Probably a lot of difficulty. And then there's 10 left, and that's where Austin was. They go into our transition program. The odds are they'll have a lot of difficulty, and when I talk to teachers, I say 5 years later, what are the odds? What percent of those 10? How many of those 10 have a job? And they're thinking, 1 or 2. So that cycle happens year after year after year. And where do you think those kids are? They're at home with aging parents looking at the ceiling, what's going to happen when we're gone. So here I've been starting to go, here's a solution. Here's a solution. And so when Dave and I got together, we started talking about this. And we went back to Sarnia. Okay, they had an 80% chance of success. That's good. I said, what do employers think about me? I said, well, we survey every year. Employers in Sarnia, and they've done it in several other communities out there, a 90% satisfaction, meaning not just satisfied. That was 10%. 10% were satisfied. 90% were perfect or excellent was the experience. Great for employers, the best chance ever for a job. And when Dave and I were talking about, when I went back and thought the same question, if Walgreens couldn't do this, who could? And if I wouldn't do something, who would? It got to be the question, if Barrington couldn't do this, what town could? And so the question is, it's money, energy, and opportunity. We got the money to do this, and hire the job coaches and train them. And I think we have the expertise to do it. The question is, do we have the business community that will participate? Because that is the critical factor in this. We'll get the kids and the job coaches. Now in Sarnia, I asked them, what's your biggest limiting factor? Is it the number of kids, number of jobs, or job coaches? And they say, our biggest issue is the job coaches. We got plenty of employers that have jumped onto this after 20 years. That's not the issue. It's getting job coaches. My experience is to get this started, it's going to take the business community. It's a non-start. From there, we start with demand like everything else, and then we'll get the job coaches and we'll get everything else to happen. So that's what I'm here to ask about this morning, is your opinion. We'll get the money. Somehow. You got to believe in miracles. But the question is, will we have the participation